All right, good evening. We're the Tri-State Sports Guys, top of the Cable Ready Studios here in Norwalk. I'm Mike, filling in for O today, making the move up to the big boy seat. James Tita.
How we doing out there? How we doing?
We got Tony D behind the glass. Yeah. Accompanying Tony D. He was on our show last week as a caller. Correctly predicted the Giants games. We bring him in studio. Editor-in-chief of Co-Ed Magazine, Neil Lynch. How we doing?
Doing pretty good.
Pretty good.
Great phone interview, by the way, last
week.
It
was one of the better ones. That's why I invited him in, because I didn't think it would go well. But he's a Giant fan, and we brought him in. We got Mike T on the ones and twos. All right, let's get right into the weekend's games. We'll start out with the Giants. Now, for one of the first times that I can really remember, all of the experts kind of got this one right, which is kind of what worried me last week in predicting the game, because everybody seemed to be on the Giants bandwagon except for Vegas. So clearly Vegas took a bath, because everybody I knew that was a gambling guy put money on the Giants getting a 7.5. Yeah. So it was odd to me that everything that they kind of said that was going to happen happened kind of the way it did. I mean, you had the Packers who had this layoff, and they clearly came out. They had the drops. Aaron Rodgers missed open guys, which you never ever see him do. But I think that probably, of all the factors in the outcome of the game, that layoff, although it was a factor, is probably the least amount of impact on the game. Now, Neil, watching that game, I mean, the Giants played just a complete game. I mean, they got some breaks with the turnovers, but you couldn't have gotten more bad breaks than they got as far as calls from the refs. I'll be the first one to admit. I mean, the fumble was a BS call. The roughing the passer on Aaron Rodgers was a terrible, terrible call. And they had a blocked field goal at one point. I mean, they were able to overcome all of that. Now, as you're watching that game, my first question to you, you're watching the game. When did it become apparent we got this game in hand? Was it the Hail Mary at the end of the half? What was it?
Well, first of all, I got to preface this by saying that I was in Boston for the weekend.
Okay. So you must have been popular up there with your Giants stuff.
Great move on my part. But I managed to find the only Giants bar in Boston called the Greatest Bar. And I'm thinking to myself, I got to be getting punked. I'm going to go in there with my Giants jersey fired up. And
you're going to get
Pats fans.
And you're going to stomp you. Yeah.
Luckily, not the case. Giants fans turned out to be a great crowd. But the Hail Mary, definitely a momentum shift took place. And you can't go into the halftime with a better high.
Yeah.
And especially on such a great catch. And
the play before that to get them in position, that run that they had.
Oh, yeah.
The stupid McCarthy calls that timeout, gives them some time to settle in. Bradshaw makes that unbelievable run, and then the catch was.
But McCarthy's catching a lot of guff for this, and it's tough. I gotta sympathize with him, because how do you game plan for a team that is so inconsistent?
Yeah,
they haven't put together the same team game to game each week. And you have them losing to the Redskins
twice,
yeah. And the Seahawks, and then you have them beating the Cowboys twice, and beating the Jets.
Any team that can beat the Jets is a good team.
Well, yeah, that's a given.
The Giants play like that every year, though. You know what I mean? Year in and year out, they're so streaky.
Exactly, and then typically they kind of fade towards the end. This year they came in and those two big wins towards the end. Now, James, what did you take away from this game? And watching this game, I mean, did it play out kind of the way you thought? I know you like the Giants with the points.
I like the Giants with the points. I mean, I definitely thought that they could go in and do what they did.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily think that was going to happen. But what I took from the game, to be honest with you, Mike, is that the Giants are hot right now. Yeah. And I think football is becoming one of the sports like baseball and hockey where maybe not necessarily the best team throughout the course of the year is going to win the championship.
Yeah.
But it's the most balanced and hottest team at the end. And I do think with the way the defense is playing, with the pass rush, with their little NASCAR look, and that explosive offense, that they're probably the most balanced team left.
Yeah, I agree with you. As far as balance, I'd say they are the most balanced of the four teams left. We talk about their receiving core. I've been saying it all year long that it doesn't surprise me. Victor Cruz and Hakeem Nicks, they're studs. And we had arguments earlier on this season about the fact that people were saying the Jets had a better receiving core than the Giants. It's just a joke to possibly say that. I mean, you look at the guys. I mean, every game, somebody's making a huge run after the catch, making huge plays. I mean, Eli Manning has been great, but, I mean, the plays that these receivers have been making have been just phenomenal. Now, one of the things that struck me in this game, and the pass rush was good. I think they sacked Rodgers 4 times. They forced a fumble.
Big sack fumble by OC.
I think that was as good as anybody at that. He's the honey badger of the NFL there. But he's as good as anybody at that. But I thought their secondary played well, because there's a lot of times I don't have those kind of stats in front of me, but where he seemed to have plenty of time. And your own clock, you're just watching the game, saying, oh, he's got 3 seconds, 4 seconds, he's going to complete a pass, and then it's an incompletion, or he's scrambling away, and he ran for 60 yards. But a lot of that was because it was essentially a coverage sack that he was able to get out of. And I thought the secondary, which has been maligned all year, was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, they played a great game.
I mean, I agree. I think part of that is a product of the 4-man pass rush, so they can drop 7 guys back, whereas without maybe OC or Tuck at 100%, they had to blitz a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think another huge cog in the wheel for this defense that not many people are talking about is Michael Boley. He's out there calling all the plays, calling the defense. That no longer falls on the shoulders of an inexperienced secondary or inexperienced linebacking core. And I really think the combination of getting healthy with Boley and the NASCAR look, getting the pressure on Rodgers, even it's forcing him to run, allowed the secondary to do what they do, play zone coverage, Entre roll, come up and bump a few people at the line, and just allow them to do what they do on defense. And ultimately, it's all about the pass rush for me when it comes to the Giants.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the Packers. I mean, terribly disappointing end to your season. You go 15-1, and you get bounced at home. You basically get blown out. It shouldn't even have been that close. Watching that game, it shouldn't have been that close. That game, they had just pounded them out the whole game. You look at that team and you say, well, you had this talented receiving core. They had like 7 drops. You know what I mean? They had this almost a bend don't break type defense where they give up a lot of yards, but they always seem to make a big play. They didn't make a big play. They had the one pick on Eli, which was just a bad throw. But they didn't go out and make big plays on defense. They gave up all the big plays. And you look at Aaron Rodgers, and people wanted to put him as the best quarterback in the league. I'm still taking Tom Brady over, and I hate Tom Brady probably more than any athlete in all sports. But I'm still taking Tom Brady over Aaron Rodgers any day of the week because he doesn't have a game like that.
Did you see that special on NFL Network?
No.
The Tom Brady 6.
No.
I don't want to get into it, but wow, it was a great.
Yeah, I don't
show,
get the NFL Network.
Oh, you gotta.
Yeah, they don't have that on Cablevision. Yeah, I gotta figure that out. They don't have Cablevision here to uncover it.
DirecTV, man.
No, don't mess with that.
Why? That's the best. That's the best one.
Listen, we're not going to get into a debate over Cablevision. I'm a Cablevision guy. I'm a Nintendo guy. I've never owned a PlayStation.
You like your Optimum online and stuff like
I'm very regimented.
All right, you're a creature of habit.
I am, and I like the way the remote is. I don't want to be messing around with different channels.
Sometimes change is bad. I understand.
Yeah, it's bad with me. So, but you look at what Aaron Rodgers did, and a lot of that game falls on him. I mean, I know they had a couple other fumbles. He fumbled once. Ryan Grant had that terrible fumble. Kuhn had that fumble. The fumbles were a huge part of this game. Mm-hmm. But, in a game where the one thing you were sure about was that Aaron Rodgers was going to play well, and he didn't play well. No. He put up decent numbers, but there were guys he missed. He missed somebody in the first drive with guys streaking down the field, and he missed them. And it just seemed like everything was just a little off. And I don't know if that has to do with I don't want to blame it on the layoff that he had. But I don't know how to explain it.
Well, I think going back to JT's point, Boley and what I said last week, Boley was hurt in the first game at the MetLife Stadium, and he definitely stepped up. Probably his best game as a Giant. Yeah. And I gotta think that with him out there calling the shots, you have better coverage. You have people in their place. You don't have blown coverage like they did at a lot of times in that first game where they had people wide open.
Yeah.
But in the same respect, even when they are wide open, he wasn't hitting them.
Yeah,
his accuracy was just off, and I hate to point back to the tragedy that they suffered, but I gotta think that's gotta have some kind of impact.
It really does. I mean, you talk about practice during the week and game planning. It's never going to be the same. I mean, all these guys are creatures of habit in all sports, but especially football. So you have the guy who's game planning for the week and he's not there. Plus, they're all going to the funeral. Most of these guys. I mean, it's something it's just real life stuff that sometimes gets in the way.
Aaron Rodgers had said that he had never been to a funeral.
Never been to a funeral.
He's a 28-year-old man.
Imagine that. Talk about living a great life.
Luck, right?
This guy lives like in a Disney movie. NFL quarterback, never been to a funeral.
He wakes up, there are bluebirds everywhere.
That must have been frustrating.
My God, yeah. He's got the commercials. He's got it all, that guy. But you know what? He didn't win this year. So, all right, quickly, let's go through the other 3 games quickly. I mean, the other big upset, to me, I was just as surprised. I don't think I was it wasn't a game where I thought there was no chance the Saints could lose, but the way that game played out and the fact that they were able to answer back with 2 touchdowns late in the last 4 minutes, I mean, you got to start believing in this 49ers team, and they're not just this. I mean, you remember going back to last year, they were a team that was supposed to run away with that division. They got out to that 0-6 start, and it was just a disaster. They lost a lot of close games, so. you look at this season, it's not like they came out of nowhere. I mean, they were pretty good 2 years ago. Last year, they were supposed to make the step. They didn't. I think that all falls on the coach. And then you come into this year, they got a good defense, and the big difference clearly is Alex Smith. And Alex Smith was a guy who nobody thought had a chance of succeeding after how bad he was. And it gives all us Mark Sanchez fans some room to hope. Say, if this guy here can look as good as he looks, I mean, Mark Sanchez could be a Hall of Famer.
Well, yeah,
that's somehow. Boy.
That's part of it. I mean, you look at there's two schools, right? It's either throw him right into the fire. You get the Blaine Gabbert school philosophy or whatever. Throw him right into the fire. Have him throw him to the wolves. Have him go against the heavy pressure right away, and they'll adapt. And I think Alex Smith got a dose of that, but then, they kept him around. He went through like 6-7 different offensive coordinators.
7, yeah.
He stuck around, and the kid's smart, and he can make some throws. So
the throw that he made at the end of that game, the more you watch that replay, it was an unbelievable pass. He threw that ball before he even got into his break, and then the safety was in front of the guy. You know what I mean? He had the safety turned around. I mean, in a spot where if that ball got picked off, he's the GOAT of the NFL because, I mean, they're in field goal range, to make that pass on a dime. Now, Tony, you know where I'm going to go next with this. What'd you think about your boy Vernon Davis breaking down into tears on the field? Yeah. After I cleaned up the puke that I had in front of me on the floor in my living room, I looked at my wife, and I'm like, how embarrassing is this for this guy? Because this will be something that's on every NFL highlight film for the next 50 years. He was not just like this is running off the field. It's like he caught the ball. He was like couldn't breathe crying. Bawling, crying. That's embarrassing.
Steroids.
James, you know that's embarrassing. I'm against crying in public ever. But this, my God, there's not even an excuse for it.
I mean, if it had been the Super Bowl and they had won the Super Bowl, maybe I could find some sort of wiggle room. But dude, it's a divisional
breaking up
championship
in the
game.
press conference, but he caught the ball and just waterworks.
I mean, he's an emotional guy. He's been there for 7 years or whatever, a bunch of years through the bad times. I do agree with you. I'm gonna kill him that bad.
I don't.
I'm an emotional guy as well. I mean, I've been there on the field.
What did you think of right away?
It was
embarrassing. I felt it ruined the whole moment.
He wasn't just like tearing up, like he was.
He needed to be consoled. They all had to hug him and dude, it's okay, it'll be all right. Like you caught a pass. It's awesome. I mean,
like T.O.
He caught. It was an amazing catch. The guy put the ball right where it needed to be. You caught the ball. All right, real quick, going over to the AFC. The Pats game kind of played out like we kind of thought about it. When we did the show, I picked the Broncos, and then immediately changed my mind and actually put money on the Pats. Yep.
So there you go. That's all that matters.
So that's all that matters. But I mean, that game was just
a lock.
That game was just a joke. The Pats were just. I mean, I had some heated conversations though on Facebook about what'd you think about them calling timeouts in the fourth quarter. 2 timeouts. They're up 32 points in the fourth quarter. They're calling timeouts. And then with 3 minutes to go, they're calling timeouts before his little pooch punt and his little Tom Brady giggle like, he punted the ball. I'm so crazy. It's me. I'm Tom Brady and I'm punting.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
He's such a jerk. They're all jerks, but they're so good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that doesn't surprise me. The other game, I honestly, you look at I was surprised at how close it was. I mean, early on in the game, it looked like it was going to be a blow-up. Yeah, early on in that game, all those crazy turnovers. Mm-hmm. Other than that, you're right. I mean, Houston was a very, very good team. I think Houston was a little better than I thought. I mean, I knew without Schaub, I thought, without Schaub, they had no chance. But that team is just a really good team, and they're going to be a team next year that could be the class of the AFC. Really
young.
Extremely young. They did this without Mario Williams and without their quarterback. 2 Pro Bowlers. Really. I mean, for them to do what they did this year, they're a team on the rise. When we come back, we're going to get into our picks for next week. With Tri-State Sports Guys, we'll be right back.